Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Chloe in the morning. Finally got my coffee again. I'm quite tired today. And as always, I will check to make sure the stream is running, even though I do have two screens here and I can do it more efficiently. Um, Seems like we are good to go. Also, my setup has changed for those that notice. I guess I now have, obviously, in the bottom left hand corner, the nice Marma J Foundation banner, just so it's clear what I'm here for. So I am the co founder of the Marma J Foundation, I guess co founder and CEO these days, um, which is wonderful. And in that position, I am doing a lot these days to try and, I guess, support the Marma J Research DAO. The Marma J Research DAO is just a group, a very small group so far. Currently, it's just me and another person, Ernest, um, who are working to support, leveraging Web3 tech for social good, but from more of a research standpoint. So, from a high level, trying to give an overview. Um, let's I don't know if guides has a S at the end or just guide. There you go. So I guess we got to fix the spacing here on these things. I think it's relative spacing. So if I make the screen bigger, yeah, the spacing will adapt. Anyways, so there you can see we have like NFT guides for interacting with non-fungible tokens. Typically a standard on the blockchain for pretty much having data attributed to a visual, like metadata, like written data attributed, connected to visual data for non-fungible tokens, making them unique. We have guides about DAOs, which I was just talking about, the Marma J Research DAO. It is a decentralized autonomous organization, generally working at how to govern on-chain assets, or on-chain communities. A community can be an asset either way, but that's just, talking about that. And then DeFi guides, decentralized finance. So, how do you interact with stable coins, with, tokens that are used for gas fees like Near, Ethereum, Bitcoin? How do you interact with governance tokens that are used for various projects, all on the blockchain? And so with the Marma J Research DAO, I do a lot of these types of streams to create content and learn. Well, personally, it's for me to learn, but also to create content. So I live stream myself going through these articles and working through the contents within them and taking some notes as well on Obsidian. I got that on the right hand side. After I'm done streaming, it goes live on the YouTube. Ernest comes in, adds, cuts up the videos, makes them a bit shorter because I talk. It's already been 3 minutes. I talk way too much, and tries to create like a highlight reel that, if someone else happened upon the video and was like, oh, I'm interested in secure hash functions, I'm interested in learning maybe some lessons from their from previous attacks, and again, digging into why this might be important. Eventually, this will be the highlight reel will be minted as an NFT, for example, on Mintbase. So, again, just a high level overview. There's mintbase.io. It's built on the Near blockchain. It allows people to go to a launch pad, for example, and then quickly just decide to mint an NFT. So, for example, Marma J Research has a store. You can visit the store here. Is this the right one? This is not the right one. I think the right one was MJR. Let's visit the store. And perfect. Still nothing here, but we have the branding and everything. And so on this Marma J Research DAO, for example, we could take one of the highlight reel videos and mint it as a visual piece. Then, adding to the NFT, we could put, what's it called? We could put a PDF of the article. So, for example, you could have an image like this, voting as a sub DAO, as your kind of cover image for the NFT. The forever media, forever data on the NFT would be a video Voting as a sub DAO probably has some video to go with it. If not, I would create a video. And then there'd be some article here. So as you can see, there could be a video talking about parent DAOs, going to a proposal, leave the default settings, and you can see how there's a wonderful written article here that could be like a PDF or added to the NFT in some other way, right? If you go to Mintbase and you check out, let's just check out a random NFT. Is it going to show us a random NFT? Scam. This is a scam NFT. You can see how there's Forever Media. This is, right? This is like the cover photo. This is a music NFT, so you can play it.
Yeah. Modus investasi online scam.
Hey. Ooh, Crayons doing some big stuff. Okay, so this is just an example of how this could work. We could have someone reading out the article in these 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But this could be the entire video of the highlight reel, explaining a complex technical topic that someone could actually purchase, get some information about it. So this is, the visuals were from Crayons, the cover is AI, the mixing and mastering is Crayons, the title is Scam, the vocals are Wizzo. Very cool. Beats DAO, again, this is a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization who kind of works on this, and each one is 10 year. So hopefully that gives an example of how these streams are eventually going to make their way on the blockchain and be useful, hopefully, for a wider community. The first use case for this, in my opinion, is just to record what we've been creating. So this information is on Arweave to be there forever. So again, the storage gateway is Arweave. The metadata is right here on Arweave, and you can kind of check the media right here. And so, for example, if we want our highlight reels to not only be on YouTube, but we want the media to be forever on a different blockchain that's going to store this for hundreds of years, that's, for example, how that's going to be used on a blockchain. We have like animation hashes, I guess, animation URL. There you go. So this is kind of showing how to get the actual and like, there's no actual security here, right? In terms of, I can just come here and download the song. And so to make this very clear for anyone, like, why would I ever want an NFT? This song here is pretty cool, and you can buy it for 10 years. It's not just the song you're buying, though. You're buying the full on-chain NFT. You're getting prominence, showing that you actually purchased it from BeatDAO and purchased it from the store. You're getting a link to all the Arweave data. But more importantly, you can just download all the data off of the Arweave blockchain without paying anything. I hope that's clear. So the main goal here is to have the information not only stored on YouTube, but to also have the information stored somewhere like Arweave, right? We're going to use Mintbase to support us with this, so we can easily just drag and drop some data, type some stuff in, add a PDF, add a location, add any key value pairs we want, and mint away. Awesome. This is where the information will live, for example. So we have NFT guides, DAO guides, DeFi guides, or we have a new tab here called like highlights or highlight guides or highlight reels, or like maybe NFT based guides, right? So that maybe not just how to use NFTs, but guides that got turned into NFTs that you can collect and support the artists, support the creators of. But that's enough intro. Again, on this 9-minute intro there, I'll try and keep those shorter moving on. But again, that's why we have Ernest. Thank you, Ernest, for coming in, cutting up these videos, and keeping them somewhat efficient for others. So, first thing I'm going to do, usually when I get to an article like this, I will just, find some, I'll find some amount of text to highlight, and then I will just, actually a bit too, I like the size actually, and I'll just tell it to read it out loud. I got back to the UK voice. I use a read aloud kind of Google Chrome extension, and it works pretty well. For shorter articles, it's not as efficient. For longer articles, it definitely helps keep me on track. Let's just get started. So,
Lessons from the History of Attacks on Secure Hash Functions, Zuko Wilcox, February 24, 2017. This document is a work in progress. Please contact the author if you see errors or omissions. Summary: most of the secure hash functions ever designed have turned out to be vulnerable to collision attacks. This includes the widely used secure hash functions MD5 and SHA-1. What about pre-image and second pre-image attacks? Have practical hash functions historically been vulnerable to those? I summarize here the history of attacks on secure hash functions in order to yield an answer to that. The main result is that there is a big gap between the history of collision attacks and pre-image attacks. Almost all older secure hash functions have fallen to collision attacks. Almost none have ever fallen to pre-image attacks. Secondarily, no new secure hash functions designed after approximately the year 2000 have so far succumbed to collision attacks either.
So main two observations, it seems. Just trying to explain that. I think this part's pretty... the main result here is that there's a big gap between the history of collision attacks and pre-image attacks. Almost all older secure functions have fallen to collision attacks, but apparently pre-image attacks are much harder to find, or people haven't discovered them, or maybe they're just not as big of an issue. Either way, it seems like no newer secure hash functions, so after the year 2000 or so, there's a graph below, have so far succumbed to collision attacks either. So, in my opinion, potentially trying to show that the issue of pre-image resistance is largely solved, maybe, and even these older hash functions have kind of solved this. But there were a lot of hash functions, before the year 2000 that have been, analyzed, and there have been attacks found for collision resistance. But the same pre-image resistance issue does not seem to plague these hash functions. So, getting into polymerase, and for me, again, this note taking, I just keep it very straightforward. Whoops. As you can see, these titles have two little number sign thingamabobs. I just keep it very much the same. I do a little kind of quote highlight for the top. Just because, again, the input to a secure hash function is called the pre-image, and the output is called the image. In my opinion, if you read the first part and were like, what the heck is the difference between pre-image resistance and collision resistance? There you go. We're starting to get some, information here. So a hash function collision is two different inputs, pre-images, right? So, which result in the same output. So you found a collision. You found a way to take two different inputs and find the same output, which is like, big no-no if you're using hash function. A hash function is collision resistant if an adversary cannot find a collision. To me, very straightforward, simple enough. You want this hash function to only map one input, which is the pre-image, to one output, which is the image, and you don't want to be able to find two pre-images that map to the same image. That would be bad. A hash function is pre-image resistant if given an output image, right? So all you have is the output. You can't find an input which results in that output. So in my opinion, a much harder problem, I suppose, because collisions, you can just keep trying over and over again, I guess. I guess pre-image you can as well. But with pre-image, you either find the whole equation, I guess, like what equation helped map to this image. But with the collisions, you just keep trying to find, you just keep testing, brute force. I think with the birthday paradox, you get it within n minus something over 2. I can't honestly squared, or I don't know, can't remember. And this is relatively important. Again, a hash function is second pre-image resistant if given one pre-image, right, you can't find any other pre-image which results in the same image. So you're pretty much saying that even if you find you found one pre-image, it's not pre-image resistant, but you found one. Either you were given the pre-image or whatever. So somehow you got a pre-image, but does this break your entire hash function where now you found one pre-image, you find a bunch more? Or is it more like, okay, we're pre-image resistant for the most part. You can, if you have the probability to find one, it doesn't matter because you're not going to find another one. Or is it break the whole thing? Okay. So when do collision attacks not matter? This is probably, in my opinion, pretty useful for when talking about actually applying hash functions, using hash functions in practice. and understanding. So there are cases when collision resistance doesn't matter, and all that you care about is second pre-image resistance. So now, in my opinion, going now I want a space here so it all stays the same. Excuse me. So when collision attacks don't matter, so this is interesting enough. For such uses, it would be harmless to. I'm just reading it now because I feel like the article is so short. But for such use cases, it would be harmless to be able to generate collisions, but harmful to be able to generate pre-images or second pre-images. Okay, so what we're saying is it doesn't matter if you can brute force this and find collisions, which is other pre-images that map to the same image. But what we're saying is you shouldn't be able to find, like, given a pre-image, you can't find another, which I guess makes sense because of course you're going to have a pre-image if like you're using like you're the user, if you're the inputter of the hash function, you shouldn't be able to put more. Yeah, anyways. Output or given an output, you can't find any input, which means you're giving someone. It's okay if someone brute forces and find multiple pre-images to that same output, but you don't want them to be able to generate multiple pre-images to the same output. Interesting. For such uses, it'd be harmless, but may be harmful to generate pre-image or second pre-image. For this purpose, the relevant question is not whether hash function designs have historically been revealed to be vulnerable to collisions, but instead whether they've been revealed to be vulnerable to second pre-images. Sure, I'll take the note. I think I need to dig into that one more. The whole like second pre-image resistance thing definitely like need to look at, like, yeah. So again, it's doing it for me. Not used to that, but that's nice. Okay, maybe I will just have this read it out for me because there's not much math here too. Anyways.
An example of this is the construction of hash-based digital signatures. Hash-based digital signatures are secure, resistant to forgery, as long as the hash function they are built on has second pre-image resistance, e.g. SPHINCS. Such a hash-based digital signature would fail if its underlying hash function failed at second pre-image resistance, but this is the only way that it could be broken. Any attack which was able to forge digital signatures against such a scheme would have to violate the second pre-image resistance of the underlying hash function. One reason that hash-based digital signatures might be useful is that if an attacker has a sufficiently large quantum computer, they could forge digital signatures that rely on factorization or discrete log, such as RSA, DSA, ECDSA, or ED 25519. There is no reason to think that such a quantum computer would enable them to break secure hash functions, however. Another reason is that even if the attacker does not have a sufficiently large quantum computer, but has a mathematical breakthrough that allows them to exploit the asymmetric crypto technique, such as factoring, discrete log, code-based crypto, etc., then they would be able to exploit asymmetric crypto-based digital signatures, but not hash-based digital signatures. What about in the other direction, though? Can't we imagine an attacker who can break hash-based signatures but can't break asymmetric crypto-based signatures? No, there cannot be such an attacker. Any attacker who can break hash-based signatures can also break asymmetric crypto-based signatures, because the latter rely on hash functions in addition to relying on their asymmetric crypto primitives.
Okay, so a nice little color key. Okay, so this is actually getting pretty interesting now, in my opinion. So now I was trying to say something specific, and I don't know if it keeps going. And then it does when collision attacks do matter. And so I think that's obviously important. And maybe I'll just take that note first and go back up. So be careful about this. The ability to generate collisions can be surprisingly harmful to many systems. This is one of those subtleties of cryptographic engineering which frequently trip up engineers who are not cryptography experts. The famous internet root search attack is an example of engineers working at VeriSign incorrectly thinking that their system was not threatened by collisions in the absence of second pre-images. Okay, so first I'm just going to take this right? And then maybe just take this, because maybe I just want to read that paper. Yeah, it gives you the whole paper. Nice. Oh, no, it's not. Dang it. Oh, no, it's giving me, like, the link, not the actual. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to give me the actual paper. Or maybe I should go to the actual resource at the bottom and then have me copy and paste it. It's taking quite a while. What? Maybe it's just gonna go to the bottom and I can take it myself. Taking a while. Anyways, Git, which is SHA-1, is like VeriSign's MD5. It is believed by its developers that a mere collision attack, not second preimage, against SHA-1 wouldn't make Git users vulnerable to malicious action. So no one has written a security proof. Okay, this sounds interesting as well. Oh, sorry. So this is a specific example that I could look to, which, okay, this is taking, okay, no, that worked.
It looks like I don't have your work address.
Thank you.
Let's add it to your places,
Nope.
which are used across
Nope.
local
Hey,
files
Google.
for personalized.
Hey, Google, shut up. Please. Please be quiet. Thank you. Sorry. Shouldn't be mean to Google, you know? But I don't know why it's, I didn't say anything similar to those words that are supposed to make it go off. Had the Google Home at my mom's house for a while so that my grandma could use it. But obviously now it's back. So MD5 considered harmful. Cool. I mean, that's old stuff, obviously, but I'm sure it's a good attack to read through. Okay. And then, oh, sorry, I did want to go to this paper as well. 50. And history of attacks. No, this is, there we go. So I'll take this one down just because I'll forget where it was supposed to be. Okay. And then, whoops, let's close this again. In contrast to VeriSign and Git, the cryptographic constructions mentioned above come with proofs showing that the security of the construction is guaranteed, assuming the security of some underlying component. Okay, so you're assuming some security, but like those are things that are supposed to be known, and there's proof saying that if these things are secure, then this should also be secure. For example, the hash-based digital signature Sphinx comes with a proof that any possible attack which couldn't generate. So this just sounds like a paper that I have to read anyways. Let's see if, yeah, it's right here. Perfect, I can read that paper later. Okay, then going back up to hash-based digital signature, I think I need to definitely take some notes. Yeah. Okay, so this is the example, Sphinx, which I need to read through. Such a hash-based decision would only fail. So it's a hash-based digital signature scheme, which would fail if its underlying hash function failed at second preimage resistance. They're saying even if you were able to find a collision, right? And up here we're saying that even if you were able to find two different inputs which resulted in the same output, sorry. And even if given an output, you couldn't find the input, even if by being given an output, you were by chance happened to find one input that could work. They're saying you would need to be able to find two or multiple inputs for there to be a valid attack. And this is the only way it could be broken. So any attack which was able to forge digital signatures, so finding a new image, preimage, whatever collision, against such a scheme would have to violate. I feel like I just need to read that again. Like I need to go to this paper and be like, why? Why is it like I understand what you're saying and it's all very clear, but like show me some math, please. So they're saying this is just the case. There's a proof here in the Sphinx paper. One reason that this could be useful is because even if you are able to forge something based on like the discrete log problem, there's no reason to think that you'd be able to break the hash functions. So, I mean, this part was simple enough, but let's just take maybe, I know it's like a huge, and then literally, even if you don't, but you have mathematical breakthrough, you'd be able to do this, but not that. There you go. I don't need this whole reason at the beginning. So if an attacker has a quantum computer, or if an attacker has a mathematical breakthrough, two different things they can do, but they still won't be able to break the actual hash. And then they're just trying to like make it very clear. What about in the other direction? Can't we imagine an attacker who can break the hash-based signature, but can't break asymmetric crypto? And they're saying no. If you can break the hash, you can also break asymmetric crypto, because asymmetric crypto relies on the hash. And so you broke the hash, you broke the crypto. So, okay, let's just take the second half of this down just to be very clear, and let's move on to actually reading through this. So there was no reason, okay, figure 0, so digital signature type. So you have Sphinx. Again, if you have preimages, you're screwed, but even if a quantum computer comes along, even if some math stuff happens, and even if you have some collisions, you're still safe. It's pretty cool. So even, for example, using something like EDCSA, or I think NEAR uses ED25519, which I guess is like older. Well, I don't know about older. I think this is like the fastest, like it's like this, but faster. ED, whatever. I have not looked. I mean, I'm trying to look at this one in like, wow. Not, okay. Basically, I'm trying and use some like ZK libraries to look at implementations of ED25519 in CIRCOM, sorry. I'm trying to figure out how you would do some like proving of NEAR-based accounts or signatures, smart contracts on NEAR. But interesting, it's not pre-image resistant, so interesting stuff. And then all other post-quantum. So these are all post-quantum. I want to go into more lattice-based stuff. Sounds very confusing. Code base I haven't looked into. Lots of math stuff. It's safe today. It's safe against a quantum computer, but not safe against math. I guess this stuff uses more complex math, so not safe. And I guess I want to read Sphinx paper now because it seems like it's doing other stuff. But I do want to read into lattice-based stuff as well. Okay. I think all I'm getting from this is read the Sphinx paper. So... results. I think that was, yeah, it's like just read the Sphinx paper over and over again. So I feel like this is like a, what's it called? Like a blog that's like, okay, go read the Sphinx paper because it's doing some really cool stuff, and there's been lots of attacks on hash function in the past, and Sphinx specifically is doing some pretty cool stuff on like hash-based signatures, and there is a proof as well. So I'm just going to go through it actually with letting it read it.
Here are the results of my search for all state-of-the-art attacks on widely studied hash functions. The bottom line is that no widely studied hash function has ever succumbed to a second pre-image attack except for one. That single exception is the second oldest secure hash function ever designed, SNEFRU, which was designed in 1989 and 1990, and which turned out to be vulnerable to differential cryptanalysis. Differential cryptanalysis was discovered by the open research community in 1990. No other widely studied hash function has been shown to be vulnerable to a practical second pre-image attack. Furthermore, no other widely studied hash function has been shown to be vulnerable to a second pre-image attack that is more efficient than brute force, even if we were to count attacks too expensive for anyone to actually implement.
Cool.
The history of second pre-image attacks is therefore quite different from the history of collision attacks. Most hash functions have been proven vulnerable to collision attacks more efficient than brute force, and even to collision attacks that could be implemented in practice.
Okay, I'll just take this down, honestly, and then I guess maybe I can try and take a note for that first point here. But, I mean, no other has been shown to be vulnerable. Yeah, I mean, it's just cool stuff, but pretty straightforward, actually. So, not going to take it down. And then the actual meat of what we're looking for here. The actual history. And I'm not sure if there's much notes to take in. There probably is some interesting stuff, but I'm just going to... There's math. I'm just going to read it. This is the timeline. At a publication of the weaknesses. Okay. Well, I should probably take this down to be like... A lot of things are omitted, so I'll just take that general note. Add to dictionary, and then for these, you just put like $signs around them. Although it seemed like it actually kept the 2 to the... I've actually never seen that work out well. So when I copied and pasted like the 2 to the 56 and the 2 to the 128, it actually copied them appropriately. In Obsidian, which is very weird. So maybe I'm not even going to put $signs around it. Actually, it still works, even with $signs. Okay, I am going to put $signs because I should just do it properly. So 2 to the power of 56, and then it'll show up normally. I wanted to like push it to GitHub like this and then see what it shows up like on GitHub, but no, it's probably not. I'll probably forget to fix it later or something. Okay. Whoops, what did I do? $sign. There you go. So a lot of omissions in general, but I omit attacks on reduced round or otherwise weakened variants of hash functions. A lot of those. Honestly, I actually don't. I'm happy those are omitted. To me, it's actually very confusing when I'm like on Google, being like, "Oh, I want to look up attacks, I want to read papers," and all I'm seeing is papers on like reduced rounds of AES, and I'm like, "Okay, I get it. If you reduce the rounds of a system that's meant to have like 24 rounds and you only have 5 of them, there's going to be an attack," which is valid and valuable, but not necessarily for me specifically. As I'm like, hopefully, I would never implement something so erroneously that I'm doing like a 10th or like a 20% of the rounds that are needed. I omit attacks that have unrealistic requirements, like the attacks that require 2 to the 128 pre-computations, or require the message to be 2 to the 56 blocks long. There are a lot of those too. So again, if you are just going to brute force 2 to the 128 times, or this many pre-computations, or this many, like, you're able to see 2 to the 128 plain text ciphertext pairs. That's too much to ever store realistically in today's world, and so these are all like theoretical attacks. I'm saying the same thing here. If the message is this long, the plain text message, and then you're able to get the ciphertext for it, you have so much data to work through that. Yes, you might find an attack. But a lot of places, a lot of these block ciphers or whatever, these cryptographic tools would say, okay, after 2 to the 50 or 2 to the 48 uses or blocks, change the key or something like that. So a lot of attacks that don't matter too much. So no, maybe, yes. There are known attacks, but probably too expensive. There are no known attacks that are cheaper than brute force, but the hash output size is small enough that brute force might be feasible, so you can be exploited if the attacks have been secretly improved, or if the attacker has more efficient computational resources than we think, then maybe you can be exploited. So known attacks, but too expensive. No known attacks, but the hash output size is small enough that brute force could be feasible, but it's not known, I guess. Yes, there's no known attack cheaper than brute force, and to pay for a brute force attack is far, far beyond the bounds. So you want green, saying that no attack and brute force is expensive. I think this should have been like yellow and this should have been orange and this should have been red. To me, I always think of like green, yellow, and then orange being like scarier, but that's okay. Maybe they're trying on purpose, it seems like, to show yeah, if you use less bits, canonical view of collision attacks. What? Oh, sorry. I was getting confused. This top one is, let me just make it full screen for a second so we can see it properly. I was getting confused. So the top one, and again, I don't like when, this is just a me thing maybe, I don't like when figures have the title at the bottom. I know it's like always done like that, but I'm always just confused. Like, I'm never going to look at the bottom first. I do like how it makes you look at the data first and then like just kind of try to organize it in my brain and then kind of get the answer. But either way, this is for chronological view of collision attacks, and this is pre-image attacks. So this is, let's do pre-image first, I guess, because it should be a simpler graph because there's not many attacks. So this was the only one with an attack, and it was safe. In 89 and 90, it was known to be safe. And then in 91, or in the 90s, there was this new way of attacking, or learning about attacking systems. They're like, oh, wait, sorry, this one's not safe anymore. They all use 128 bits or more, I guess, as they showed up. And moving forward for pre-image attacks, these are all safe now, right? Even up till now, all safe. And so switching, and maybe I got to make my screen even smaller just so it's easier to see, because maybe reading them isn't that important. Maybe it is. So this same Snefru 2, not only was it found to be pre-image, have a pre-image attack, but obviously was also found to have a collision attack at the same time. And then kind of going to the others. Okay, this is not the easiest to like look through, but even like MD2, MD4, Ripe MD, and MD5, who were all safe, let's say in the year 2000 to pre-image attacks, you could see like MD2, MD4, Ripe MD, and MD5. In the year 2000, they do have some like theoretical attacks that are known, right? Known attacks, too expensive, but they have theoretical attacks that can be approved for all these like first ones. And then I'm assuming if you kind of continue to scroll, it's hard to do. Now we know after like 2010, all of these first ones, hopefully it's clear that it's the same ones, all have attacks. And you can see like what the attacks are, which is pretty cool. To me, not as important as coming down to some more of the recent ones that are actually used. So again, it's showing you the size. I think what's interesting is that like they're saying here, I guess, that if you only use... Okay, so it's saying all of these up to Ripe ND have attacks, even Shaw 0 have attacks. Oh, no, unsecure anymore. But again, the orange means no known attacks, cheaper than Bruce 4, but it might be exploitable. So you really wouldn't use any of these, I suppose. And then you start getting to these, and you start thinking, okay, maybe I can start using some of these because there's no like known attacks. Let's see, CPB. I'm not even sure what CPB means. So let's look into that later. So all these papers about reading each of these, I'm trying to see like where the last attack is. So this one here. And what is that one? Panama. So it seems like using Panama is the last one where we see like known attacks, and this is written in 2017. So an update to this might be reasonable. Then you have like Whirlpool, and I guess most people now would use like SHA-2, 256. So I guess when there's no digit there, it's just SHA-2. Ethereum, and a lot of newer things use like SHA-3 or Kakak, and the version specifically being SHA-3. There's a Blake, which I'm pretty sure was another finalist for the Kakak, the SHA-3 stuff, just done differently. And there's Blake 2, which is newer and I guess an update to Blake. So I know a lot of blockchains. I think maybe the CPB is like the speed, potentially, because I know some people were like, or some blockchain I think are trying to use Blake 2 because it's a bit faster than what's currently available. But hopefully that gives a pretty good example. I'm not even sure what to take down as notes for this one, but I'm sure I'll find something. So let me, come into here, go to the results. I think I'm probably saying the result. I just said things I thought were pretty interesting. So, it's, where is it? Basically, I emit all these things. So basically, I mean, for reasonable purposes, so anything, any hash function, and it even says, right? It says like, should we even talk about Whirlpool? I feel like, let's see, probably really slow, right? That's the whole point. But it's safe. So any hash function from Whirlpool onwards should be safe to use. Should, right? And it seems like it would be super slow. Maybe just like no known tax. And then like, what year was this? It should just 32. So year 2000, pretty much. So the year 2000. So basically, as long as you use a hash function that was created sometime in the past 20 years, you should be all right. Although I would assume most people wouldn't be using anything before SHA-2, which is like 2001. Yeah. And then I would, again, like average person now these days would probably use like Kakak or Blake 2, which are all like, what is this? Yeah, 2009. So there's probably newer ones. This article is definitely a bit old. Yeah, I don't think there's much more notes to be taken. Very interesting graphs and like interesting. I label an attack as cheaper than brute force only if the attack comp takes the attack. Times the attack mem is less than the cost of brute source search. Okay. I will put this in because, I think it's out of date. And so, if there are any, like if I see any newer papers, actually, I'll just write that down. Blake 2 is the most recent edition. And then, like, I think that was 2010, 2015. Let's see. 2011. Let's actually, like, put the paper out. Oh, no, it's going to bring me to the same thing. I have to get this paper. 44. Oops, that's not what I meant to do, but that's okay. Good enough. Let's read the Blake 2 paper later. Sounds like a lot of fun. Let us do that. Keep it really simple. And then we're going to have a fun little discussion later. But not right now. Ah, Daria Hop would help with this. Cool. Daria. Okay, if you're aware of anything, survey the best known attacks and secure hash functions. And this is just again, same I just said, anything Whirlpool or later, 2000, is safe enough to use. Seems like this is the speed, so maybe a bit slow. I'm not really, like, CPB. Gosh, what does CPB mean for hash functions? Man, like I'm seeing it again there. Oh yeah, speed. 12.6 CPB. I want to know what it is though. I get it's the speed of some. Maybe I should write like, what does CPB speed mean? Like, I just want to know like the actual terminology. I may have to click into this and like see what it's talking about. No, leave me alone. Get citation, cute. I'm gonna have to just. This is, my brain can't see it, so CPB, and it does. Oh, there you go. Performance. Wait. Clock cycles. I get it. Cycles per byte. Ha ha ha. Cycles per byte. Okay, I'm just going to take this whole thing down as like a random note just to add for myself. Perfect. So yeah, super slow, not sure why you would use it, but it's available. SHA-2 is available, but it's slower than SHA-3 by a little bit. And then you have like Blake 2, which is like, ooh, so fast. We're going to use this for blockchain stuff. Ha! It's right there. So maybe I'll just take that whole thing down and then just do it like that. There we go. And then discussion. Almost done. I'm not going to take a note for that. The main result is that there's a big gap between the historical success of collision attacks and the almost non-existence of supreme attacks. That's actually, I wasn't going to take that down, but now I feel like a pretty good note, actually. Like if someone doesn't want to read, usually it's like my TLDR. If you just read these points in each of the topics, you should get like an idea of what the top paper's about and be able to hopefully move on without reading all the details. This evidence that a crypto system is invulnerable of collision attacks is much safer than one that is vulnerable to collision attacks, regardless of whether it is vulnerable to preimage attacks. This is evidence that a crypto system is invulnerable to collision attacks is much safer. Sure. I'll take that whole thing as like a statement that the author is making and then not try and like edit it at all. Another interesting pattern that I perceive in these results is that maybe sometime between 1996 and 2000, humanity learned how to make collision hash functions, and none of the prominent hash functions designed since that era will likely assume. So this is kind of what I already saw from the data. It seems valid. Maybe Mon, this is kind of like the sub point. So I like just taking down what the author wrote in like ways that I can look at it more simply later. Or maybe this is a 7. Ooh. So apparently we don't know actually, and these things could still be broken. So pretty good paper. And Thor said that this was his favorite out of the course reading. So on oncloak.org for session 3 notes. So again, oncloak.org. You can go to courses, Rush Cryptography Engineering, session 3 notes, and you can go to the bottom. You can see the extra reading. In my opinion, very good article so far. So Sean 2 and Sean 3 are quite slow. Blake 3 is, there's Blake 3. So it's based on the chop function. So again, I'm probably going to read about Blake 3 pretty soon, maybe even tomorrow, and maybe this afternoon. Because in my opinion, we just talked about like, what makes one secure, probably saying that all these newer ones are pretty safe to use because humanity seems to have learned how to stop making the same mistakes, which is pretty cool. And so potentially, if Blake 3 is even faster than Blake 2, so we're saying that currently Kakak is used a lot, which is 16 cycles per block or whatever, per byte, per bit, I can't remember. Cycles per byte, yeah. And we're saying Blake 2 was doing 5.7 cycles per byte. And then Blake 3 should hopefully be even faster. So it's probably a good paper to go to next. Additional reading on the analysis of collision resistance. Again, Analyzing MD5. I kind of had an MD5 paper up here that I wanted to go through, so maybe I'll add that. Like do it at the same time. Here you go. Internet root attack is going through MD5 up here. I like reading through attack sometimes, so another good one here. Additional optional reading on Kakak and SHA-3. Standardized. So I'll tell you, it was standardized in 2016, but it came out before then. I kind of read this article already. It's pretty straightforward, pretty good. If you want to read more, this textbook's fine, nothing special. NIST on SHA-3, and then optional Kakak-derived authentication functions. In my opinion, I think this next Blake 3 is probably the most realistic. And then we're going into the exercises for the week. So with the command line tools or Criterion, benchmark. I actually think I want to start learning how to use command line tools to benchmark functions. Because Criterion was fine, but I think I'm not very good at using Rust stuff yet. So if there's a CLI tool for benchmarking functions, that'd be pretty cool. Checking between like how fast is Blake 3, and we already know that Blake SHA-3 and SHA-2 should be the speeds that are here, and so I think actually going through the coursework and then testing the speed of these myself would be pretty cool. This question just about collision resistance, basically saying use SHA-2 with 512 bits of security, but then only output 8 bits, 16 bits or whatever else, up to 48. How long would it take? And then like how long do you expect it to be if you use SHA-512 and then output half the amount of bits of security? So you could kind of use your math from this and kind of guesstimate this. And then how about for the full SHA-2 for 512? I'm assuming that this would be quite straightforward, right? You're just going to output 8 bits and then keep trying to. You're just colliding with 8. You're just trying to find the birthday attack on 8 bits of security all the way to 48 bits, which I guess would take quite a bit longer. And then this would be unreasonable or unfeasible. So talking about previously, write a program that finds a message M that hashes to the following value under SHA-512-16. So we're saying that we're using SHA-512, but we're only going to output the last 16 bits. And so if you're looking for bits, I think. So if you're looking for, yes, this is 8 bits, 8 bytes, 16 bits. These are 8 bits each, and these are 1 byte, I guess, each, I think. Anyways. The point is, how many tries would you expect the algorithm to need? Running it 5 times, how many tries? So you're running the whole algorithm 5 times. How many tries do you get on average? So I guess you want to count each time you have to do it, but it's the same question as above, in my opinion. You're using the birthday attack to find the collision. So here you're finding any collision. Here you're trying to find a specific collision. Like how would you try and find this specific collision, and how long did it take you? Same kind of thing. And then just different algorithms are faster or slower, and can you benchmark them? So pretty simple. Simple is a relative term. Difficult for me, but understanding them and how they work, relatively straightforward. Chapter 6 exercises. Again, I'm just going through this because it's what I'm going to be going through for the rest of the week. Describe a realistic system that uses CBC MAC for mesh authentication and that is vulnerable to a length extension attack against CBC MAC. I completely forget how length extension properties for CBC MAC work, so I got to read through that again. Exercise 6.3. Suppose A and B are both 1 block long, and suppose the sender max A and B and AB with CBC MAC. An attacker intercepts the MAC tag for these messages can now forge the MAC for the message B, concatenate with the MAC on B, Zord with the MAC on A, Zord with B, which the sender never sent. The forge tag for this message is equal to the MAC of A concatenated with B. So just do math. This math was in the textbook. They explained it pretty well and said, do it yourself. So it wasn't that complex of math. It was just kind of like understanding how it all works, which is useful. I'm not really good at writing it out, to be fair. I'm good at understanding it once it's written out. But we'll work on that. Suppose a message is is one block long. Suppose that the attacker has received the MAC T, the tag, using CBC MAC under some random key unknown to the attacker. So the attacker doesn't know the key. Explain how to forge the MAC for a 2-block message of your choice. What is the 2-block message that you choose? What is the tag that you choose? I did this already, I think, in when I was reading through the textbook. I already kind of went through these and kind of answered them in my brain when I was reading it. So again, I got to read through it again and then kind of answer it in my mind. But I'm pretty sure, like, why is your token tag valid? It's for the exact same reason as up here. So if you can actually reason through this, you already have the answer for 6.4. And then using a crypto library, compute the MAC of the following message. So this is the message. So the tag is probably somewhere in here. Using CBC MAC with AES, and this is the key. So you're just gonna put this key in. This is your message. I'm sure your tag is a number of bits, and then it'll kind of give you the MAC, I guess, the authentication key for the message. For message authentication, when would you use Drupal hash, parallel hash, and KMac? So this is beyond me. I have to look up these three things and see like which one's useful and why. So this is a pretty fun question in my opinion. This is a straightforward one, just teaching you how to use a library to compute the MAC on something, and the rest of them I kind of went through. So hopefully that was helpful and like why I'm doing this, why Uncloak, why is this information useful. In my opinion, anyone that wants to learn cryptography engineering and just goes to YouTube, or if you just go to Google, there's way too much information and you don't know what's right, what's wrong, and what's reasonable, what's up to date, what's new. If you go to YouTube, you find a lot of outdated information, a lot of like theory and like research information, not necessarily practical and applied information. And so the idea is how to support applied cryptography engineering. And actually teach people, first of all, the basics, like how do MACs work and hash functions and dual signatures and in general, and how do block ciphers work and stream ciphers and all this fun stuff. And then now getting into how you'd actually use these tools, like the Blake 3 hash function, or AES as your block cipher, or how to use these tools together to actually build something useful. And so yeah, I think that was pretty. I enjoyed going through that information. Later on today, I should probably maybe. Actually, you know what I'll do? Later on this afternoon, I will stream probably quite a bit later. Let's see what my cal looks like. Actually, quite a bit of hours until my next meeting. So what I'm probably going to do is be lazy and just go through the Coursera cryptography course with Dan Bonet a bit more. I'm finishing it off now with just some general good stuff to remember, good information. More research-based than applied-based again, but there are like programming assignments in Python to go through. So I'll probably do that on and off for the next hour or so. Later on in the afternoon, I will... So actually, first things first, let's git add, git commit, completed stream plus notes, and I'll just copy and paste like whatever I had here. I'll just put the whole title there. Oh yeah, Mac does let me just take I don't want that. But yeah, on my Linux laptop, I can't just copy and paste things into the terminal. It's so pretty. But anyways, git push, and I did not fix the way I'm logged in to GitHub here. So yeah, it's just using Mac Mini Local for some reason instead of like just using the full hash or the key or whatever. So that is there. Now I feel like I need to expand. So these are the articles. This is the textbook. And I didn't finish my table of context very well. I'm not doing very good at that. But, so maybe I'll spend more time on this later. But yeah, I have chapter 6 here. And maybe I'll just quickly do like chapter 7, which I won't do today probably. What was I gonna do? Did I completely forget? Oh, the exercises. So these are all my exercises. I just take all of them down. So maybe more realistically, yeah, I was having fun with N channels and chat GP recently. So maybe what I'm actually doing is HackMD and getting my solutions page set up for the week. Yes. So usually, there you go. Course. Oh. Oh. Okay. So new note. Let's duplicate. Why are you making sure I'm a human? You are. Are you? I'm on HackMD. I'm bothered. I'm bothered. I'm actually quite bothered right now. Like, this is frustrating me because I'm literally, oh my God, just take me to my HackMD. This is why I can't use this type of stuff. Because to me, it seems completely unreasonable that I have to do some random CAPTCHA to prove that I'm me when I technically just did like a cryptographic proof or whatever, like signing in with my Google. But basically, Google's saying, "Oh, we don't know if you're actually you. You might be a robot or some random shit." Sorry, some random stuff. Anyways, that was relatively straightforward. I didn't even do the slider properly, so fine by me. Anyways, the whole point is that we actually go. Okay, it opened the two of them. Delete this note. Yes, I don't know why it's being really weird. But the idea is, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to start the title, and it's obviously not going to be called notes. It's going to be called, like, solutions, right? Just like you see here, but it's named something completely different. It'll be called, like, see, yeah, he did name it that. So it doesn't even say that. It just says course, and it doesn't even say session 3. It just says homework 3 solutions. And then previously would still link to session 2 notes, I think. Or maybe it would link to session 3 notes, right? I think it would actually link to session 3 notes. So I assume we're going to link this to session 3 notes, and it wouldn't be this. It would be 2022 and then 1202. So 1202. So it'll go there. Whoops, that's not correct either. And then we have notes, but in the actual one, it goes. Yeah, so session 2 notes session 2 solution went to session 2 notes. So session 3, homework 3 solution should go to session 3 notes. That makes sense. And then we literally just started with the answers. There was like nothing else that was there. What about homework week 1? It did show exercises first and then went chapter 1. I kind of like that better. How it showed exercises and then like chapter 1 and then there was like extra ones and whatever. So I might fix that later, but for now I at least want to, if we're talking about solutions, it should probably look more like this, right? Maybe. So let's just do that first. Oh, that probably didn't copy and paste well. The hex didn't copy and paste. But that's all that didn't copy and paste. We'll see. I might just... Anyways, let's see. Chapter 5 exercises. because we're also not giving people a link to. So, are we gonna like do this? I don't know if that makes sense to do on every one. He kind of just put bullet points, so let's just put bullet points. Exercise 5 point, and we didn't even put like anything beside that. We just put like bullet points, the exercise. So for now, let's try and just keep it like that. So we can just copy them all. And this is the third question. We don't need to number them. There's only 3 of them. Simple enough. So there was consider SHA, whatever, 512N. Oh, wow. It didn't even put the N there at all. That's not what I would have expected. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. None of the N's are being copied and pasted. That's not good. And then time how long your program takes, where N is this for each. There we go. N. That's frustrating, but the way it is, I suppose. For N. How long would it take to do this? Fine. Then you have the hex value. I'm sorry, I can't stand when we're not just saying this. Even if it's only one value, I have OCD, and so I just expect people to be able to copy and paste hex values. I'm sorry. Maybe I just shouldn't be an ass and I should just... How do you not do it on a new line? If I wanted to, like, just do that. I think it worked, and I think maybe at the end I can write hex. What if I wrote rust? No, it's keeping it in the... That worked. How did he get them to be different colors like that? Am I gonna have to like check the GitHubos? Let's see. For uncloak. I'm still streaming. Whatever. This part's not really that important to what I was doing earlier, but we have courses. We have homework 3 notes. We have this here. We have a way to enter. Okay. I'm going to end this stream now. Once I get this, I think. It is just one thing. But I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to go watch the cryptography 1 lectures on Coursera. And then, yeah, that should be the end of my afternoon. But see y'all. Hope you're having a great day.